Well, to talk a bit more about Biden's first term, we've got Claire Rush on the set. Hi, Claire.
Hi, Jeannie.
Biden already saying he's going to right away set out a series of executive orders that would reverse some of Trump's policies. Tell us about those.
That's right. Biden really looking to make a clean break with the Trump administration. And the way he's looking to do that on his very first day in office is by signing more than a dozen executive orders. Now, let's take a closer look at those. In terms of COVID, one of Biden's top priorities, he said that, is he wants to rejoin the World Health Organization, which Trump withdrew from in the midst of the pandemic in July. Regarding climate, Biden wants to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord, which Trump had also withdrawn from. Staying with climate, Biden also wants to revoke the permit for the Keystone XL Pipeline. That's a major oil and gas pipeline that's been very controversial, opposed by environmentalists. Trump had approved it. Biden is now revoking that permit. And then in terms of immigration, which was Trump's major campaign promise, something he really focused on during his term, Biden wants to end the travel ban on a handful of majority Muslim countries. That travel ban was one of the very first executive orders that Trump did sign upon taking office in 2017. Biden also wants to end the national emergency that finances the border wall, which was Trump's big campaign promise. And Biden also wants to reverse a plan to exclude undocumented immigrants from the census. And that actually would have had a large implication on politics in the U.S. because the census every 10 years counts how many residents live in each state, determines how many representatives those states get in Congress. So Biden wants to roll that back as well.
Claire, we just heard Catherine speaking there a moment ago from D.C. about how tight the security is around the Capitol, tight, of course, for the inauguration, but also 2 weeks after the storming of the U.S. Capitol building. Donald Trump, speaking, said that he might be leaving, but his movement is only just beginning. What's next for not just President Trump, but for his most extreme backers?
That's right. As you said, Trump is leaving. His supporters remain in the general public and also in Congress. On January 6th, just hours after the Capitol was stormed by a violent mob, you still had 147 Republicans that voted against certifying the Electoral College results. So you do still have his Republican backers in Congress, and they have a mandate from the more than 74 million people that voted for Trump back in November. So you still have very vocal Trump allies in Congress. If we look at his supporters more broadly, a recent Reuters poll found that 70% of Republicans remain loyal to Trump, and that poll was taken just after the siege at the Capitol. So his reporters are sticking with him. And in terms of the broader, at the Capitol, we saw lots of different groups. We saw kind of your MAGA, Make America Great Again supporters. We also saw this coalition of far-right groups that were uniting under this Trump banner. And for years, researchers and analysts have said that far-right movements are growing. Some even say that far-right extremists pose the biggest terrorist threat to the U.S. today. So these movements are growing. They were emboldened by Trump when Trump refused to condemn them or spoke directly to them. So that's something that we'll have to keep an eye on for sure.
Claire, thank you for that. From
Thanks,
Jeannie.
Jeannie.
Claire Rush.